first guest is Jackson Franklin. Welcome.
Thank you
Uh,
so much for having me.
it is always a pleasure to talk to someone as progressive as you. It is a breath of fresh air
I appreciate it.
in especially Indiana politics to have someone that's out there actually fighting for the people. And we need more of that. And it seems like this election cycle, we have a lot of that going on right now.
It's growing for sure.
Um, What are your thoughts on why? Like, what's the why of so many progressive voices this cycle?
Especially in Indiana, I mean, we could just see we live in dire times. Like fascism is knocking at our door. It's through our doors. Like
Mm,
they're literally taking people off the streets. We have mass Gestapo thugs. And during a time, I think the rise of progressivism, especially here in Indiana, because we are just a working class Rust Belt state.
mhm.
We can see with we have eyes and ears. This is the most corrupt presidential administration and one of the most corrupt governor administrations in our lifetime. Well, in all of American history. Donald Trump, he's appointed like 30 billionaires to his cabinet. He himself is a billionaire, and they're just completely bought and owned by their large corporate donors. And then it's like, hey, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. We can see the corruption. We can see the evils of money in politics. And a lot of people think that the reason why we lost last time is because we didn't embrace a bold populist vision. We are going to win as Democrats, not by being diet Republicans, but by being Democrats, fighting like how Democrats are supposed to, fighting for the working class and not the donor class, having like we can look at other countries across the world and realize how bad we have it here.
Mhm.
We are the only developed nation on the planet that doesn't guarantee healthcare access to all people as a human right, but we have it as a privilege, a for-profit scam. So I think that's kind of why people are kind of waking up all across this country, but especially in Indiana, because we want to have fighters. We want to fight for the working class and not just business as usual. Politics is the same. Hey, we have two right-wing corporate parties, and that's why the Republicans have dominated the state for the last 20 years. We're going to win when we embrace who we were always meant to be, fighters and champions for the working class.
And what are your thoughts of going to address the elephant in the room? What are your thoughts about being called a socialist?
I would say I'm a democratic socialist. It's just more like, specific. And it's as MLK, who says he is a democratic socialist. Call it democratic socialism or call it democracy. There must be a better transfer of wealth for all God's people. We must take care of the people. Judge a nation by the least amongst us. And he arrived at that point from the standpoint of Jesus. Like what healthcare would Jesus deny? What sick person would not get healthcare? What hungry person wouldn't get food? What child would not get education? So all we are saying, if it's basically just like, people get scared with, like maybe democratic socialists or socialism. All it is like, I just want healthcare and politicians that listen to us, and actually right now I saw a Gallup poll that came out last week.
Mm.
A third of all Democratic registered voters are Democratic socialists. And then actually 82% of the Democrats say that they are progressive. And I'm just going to continue finish out the poll here. Under the ages of 35, 45% of young people are Democratic socialists. And that's not just Democrats. 45% of all the next generation, like all Gen Z and the upper part, like the lower parts of the millennials, all Democratic socialists, so like that is the future. All it's saying is that we should get money out of politics. We should have healthcare. We should have strong unions with strong living wages, fully funded public schools. It's basically just like, you slap a label on a political ideology to just like take care of the people around you and build up your community, and not just the billionaires, the parasitic pedophilic elite that is just hoarding money from us. They're greed addicts, except like kind of like how drug addicts hurt people. It's those around them and themselves. Their greed is harming the whole planet. Everyone is getting consumed and, disparaged against by their greed. Like the planet isn't just dying, it's getting murdered by big fossil fuel CEOs that are just dumping toxic waste into our waters. Democratic socialism is, yes, that's what I would say that I am proud of.
And it's unfortunate that we have to be labeled as socialists just because we care about other people. Like, how crazy is that right now? How radical is it that we care about other people? I mean, to be labeled that in this time, it's like go back to FDR. It's everything that he espoused.
What we are calling for is less radical than what FDR said.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, can we catch, because even JFK, like in the 60s, he said, we are far behind what most European nations have done long ago. There must be, like, we must take care of our health care. Like, he was talking about Medicare for all. We almost had it. Like, we were so close. And then, of course, yes, that's, but like, and like the big health insurance law. But yes, we are just calling for the basic necessities. Like, we're not calling for communist China or the USSR. We're calling for like Denmark and Sweden, and like things that are like so basic. Like, hey, can we not have a racist policing system? We use socialists, and the Republicans, they'll like what Trump, as you probably noticed, and as many of us noticed, Trump stopped calling Mamdani a democratic socialist because when he said that, he got more popular. People, that's not like a scary, for some people, it's a scary buzzword if you're already a Republican. But like, as I said, most Democrats are progressive. So when you say, oh, I'm a democratic socialist, they're like, great. Like, duh, obviously, we just want help. Like, a lot of people like know what it means. Like, oh, cool. Like, I wouldn't vote for you unless you were. So like, Trump switched his label on Mamdani from democratic, oh, he's a democratic socialist. No, he's a communist. Zoran Mamdani was like, oh, yeah, well, he has to change these labels. He knows I'm not a communist.
Yeah.
But he knows how popular it's getting. So it tells you everything you need to know.
What it seems to me is it's going back to Trump is seeing what was the big fights in the 80s. And we haven't had a big evil since the USSR. And that's the only way that the conservatives, or the far right conservatives should say, win, is with a big bad.
There's always a boogeyman. You know, like with Adolf Hitler, it was Jews, gay people, women. Nowadays, there's always, like, now they're harping on like transgender people. There's always going to be that population that makes up less than 1% that has no real political power, like in the halls of Congress or president, right? And that's who they want to blame for all of our problems. And I told you this before, I believe last time I was in the interview, but like what Donald Trump did so well and what the far right does in this one aspect is, hey, you are hurting. I am listening to you. But the reason why you're hurting is because of these trans people. It's these immigrants. We are going to win as Democrats when we say, you are hurting. I am listening to you. But the problem is not, these so-called dangerous minority groups that they'll slam on them. It's not trans people. It's not immigrants. It's not women. There is a dangerous minority group in this country, but it's not the one Donald Trump's telling you about. It's the top 1%. It's the billionaire oligarchs that bribe our politicians, break down our unions, and send our jobs overseas. The only way we're going to win is by building up a grassroots movement and fighting like how Democrats are supposed to, fighting for the working class and not that Epstein class.
Who do you look up to?
There's many people in the community I look up to. I mean, there's big picture and little picture, you know? So like big picture is probably what you're mostly asking. Obviously, I think I mentioned Bernie Sanders somewhere along here. Huge icon of mine. Eugene Debs is from Indiana. He organized mass national labor movement. He got 20% of the vote from prison for president. And he did that in Indiana, and he did that, he was anti-war. He was pro-union, standing up for basic civil liberties. MLK, huge inspiration of mine. But also there's a whole lot of new inspirations that are coming around. AOC, though, like, we don't agree with each other 100%, but like, she is like, I think, the best member of Congress. At least it's close. Ro Khanna is good. There's a lot of really Ilhan Omar. Actually, I'm just labeling other inspirations. Actually, now that I find it. So, Rashida Tlaib. There's also many candidates that are out there that are great this time. Graham Plattner, Abdullah Sayed from Michigan, and Graham's from Maine. So there's a lot of great inspirations to look up to, and there's hope if you would dare to find it. There are people that are leading this grassroots popular movement to fight for a system that represents all people and not just that top 1%. Locally, I mean, like my mom, huge inspiration. I'm a triplet. She raised 5 children basically single-handedly. My dad, he passed away a few months ago. He worked at the GM plant, UAW worker for more than 27 years, dedicated his life to the work, just to, his mind, took care of his family financially. So, I mean, that strong work ethic, taking care of the caring, my family is like, hey, I grew up, being a triplet, like you learn how to be a team. Being
Mhm.
part of the army, you learn how to be a team and fight for a goal that's larger than yourself. So yeah, those are some of the largest role models in my mind.
Um, and where can people go if they want to get involved or donate?
Right. Please go to jacksonfranklinforcongress.com to donate. Like, as we said, it's a grassroots campaign. We're not going to, unlike others, even in the Democratic primary and against Sparks, we're not going to raise $100,000 in 10 days of
Mm,
announcing, because we're not going to sell out to Duke Energy, not going to sell out to APAC, or, all these big special interest groups, big health insurance. They don't want to, they don't want to donate to me anyway. But that means we need your help. You can go to jacksonfranklinforcongress.com, click the Act Blue button site, and then donate what you can. Every little bit helps us flip this district to not like from, red to blue in the general, but it
yep.
also makes sure that we even have a chance to flip it at all. Because that's how we keep on throwing up the same kind of Democrats, these
Mhm.
corporate right wingers, as Democrats, quote unquote. And then we keep losing. The only way we're going to get out of this is by focusing not on it's not left versus right, it's top versus bottom. All right, we're going to win when we focus on class war issues, tackling the roots of the affordability crisis, not just using it as a buzzword,
Mhm.
but like, why is our energy going up so much? Is it perhaps by Duke Energy lobbying our politicians? It's funny how that works. Having a healthcare system that actually takes care of people and not just exploits us. But yes, jacksonfranklinforcongress.com. Donate. You can sign up to volunteer. You can also go to see our calendar to see like where we're going. If you want to meet us there, we have volunteer call outs, and many, just see what the campaign's about. We have like a huge policy
Mm.
platform. There's like 20 pillars, and then you do like a drop down menu if you want to read more. And yeah, please go to the website and help out this grassroots movement.
Well, Jackson, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Glad to see you again.